like to call to order the 43rd meeting of the 40th Council, May 13th. First order of business is a moment of reflection. Thank you for that. Additions and approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Shine, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Resolved that the agenda for the 43rd Council of the 43rd meeting of the 40th Council be approved as amended. In favor? Carried. And that amendment was the news on the OPG station. Next is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. It can be declared now or at any time during the meeting. And next is minutes from previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Shine, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Resolved that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held April 22nd, 2024 be received and filed. In favor? Carried. Next is the in-camera minutes from April 22nd. Moved by Councillor Shine, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Resolved that the minutes of the in-camera meeting held April 22nd, 2024 be adopted as written. In favor? Carried. Next is the meeting minutes of April 22nd. Moved by Councillor Shine, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Resolved that the minutes of the 41st meeting of the 40th Council held April 22nd, 2024 be adopted as written. In favor? Carried. And lastly, the special meeting minutes from May 6th. Moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Shine. Resolved that the minutes of the 42nd meeting of the 40th Council held May 6th be adopted as written. In favor? Carried. Is there any matters arising out of those minutes anyone would like to discuss? Hearing none, we'll move on. We have no delegations. And next is administration and employee relations. Moved by Councillor Shine, seconded by Councillor Johnson. Resolved that bylaw number 14-24 being a bylaw to adopt an electronic monitoring policy be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor McQuay.
Thanks, Mayor Ferguson. I realize I wasn't at the meeting when we talked about this, and I apologize for that. I do have a little bit of a issue with this policy. I think it sends I don't think it sends a good message, especially the last line where it says information gathered in the aforementioned electronic monitoring activities may also be used to assess productivity and in the investigation of alleged violations of the law, regulations, or applicable company policies, procedures, expectations, or other instances of performance or misconduct. I think it sets people up. I think it doesn't show good faith to our employees. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I understand that monitoring is necessary with GPS. Like that definitely is something that needs to be monitored for sure. For safety, absolutely. To know where your fleet is, absolutely. For management, for that type of thing. But to say you're monitoring for productivity is insinuating that people aren't being productive, which I would say that if you need to monitor for productivity, I think what needs to happen is you need to look at the people who aren't being productive and deal with them as a single person rather than everyone as a whole. And I'd like to know who's monitoring it, how it's being monitored, and If it's employees that are monitoring it, who's monitoring those employees?
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So, woo! I don't have a microphone, so I have to steal from Janelle. So this policy is legislated by legislation, obviously. So we have to have it, and the policy has to address any ways in which you may use the information. So if there were a situation, not to say that we're monitoring productivity every day, but if there were a situation where we'd have to investigate any kind of complaints or any kind of disciplinary situation, we have to be able to state in the policy any and all reason that we might access that data, or else that limits us in the future. Does that clarify any of that last?
Yeah, I just know organizations that have the policy that don't actively monitor their employees.
And we're not saying that we are in that policy. It just leaves the door open if we need to retroactively go back and look at someone's information, that we can. If we don't have that in the policy, then we aren't able to. I hope that provided clarity.
It provided clarity. I still don't think it's I still don't agree with it. For what it's worth.
Okay, in favor of this motion? Yes. Opposed? Let the record show that Councilman McQuay opposed it. It's 6-1 in favor. Carried. Thank you. Next, moved by Councilor Shine, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Resolve that bylaw number 15-24, being a bylaw to adopt a video surveillance policy, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Any discussion? In favor? Carried. Next, Public Works, Airport, and Waste Management. Moved by Councilor Johnson, seconded by Councilor Shine. Resolve that bylaw number 17-24, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A of bylaw number 7-24, NAVCAN lease agreement, to be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. And as Tyler mentioned, this is correcting a typo that was in the original. Any discussion? In favor? Carried. Next is Fire and Property. Moved by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Resolve that bylaw number 18-24, being a bylaw to appoint Robert Nault as Municipal Bylaw Enforcement Officer, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Any discussion? In favor? Carried. Moving to Museum of Atikokan. Hire museum curator. Moved by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Resolve that Patricia Nagel be hired as the Museum of Atikokan curator. Any discussion? In favor? Carried. And we welcome Patricia and Robert Nault to our employ. And next is Mayor's Correspondence. It's from Hope Air. It says, Dear Mayor Ferguson, Hope Air has been tirelessly dedicated to providing access to health care by facilitating free travel arrangements for patients living in your community. We ensure that individuals can reach life-saving medical treatment that are far from home, regardless of the distance or financial means. I am writing, and I'll skip down, I am writing to request your consideration that the municipality adopt the attached proclamation declaring June 7th Hope Air Day. We would be grateful for your support in joining cities and towns across the north and recognize the impact of Hope Air. and the attached draft of the proclamation was for our review. So I think that's something that we would be interested in supporting with the resolution.
Yes, if council's in agreement, we'll pass a proclamation on the 27th.
Okay, we'll bring that to council on the 27th. Next is a letter from Paramedic Service Week. And dear Mayor and Council, I'm writing to request your support in celebrating Paramedic Services Week, which will take place from May 19th to May 25th, 2024. This week is an important opportunity to honor and acknowledge the invaluable contributions of paramedics and to provide education and awareness to the public about the vital role paramedics play in our community. And this year's theme is Help Us, Help You, and we're currently planning to host barbecues at each of our bases from 5 to 7 p.m. throughout the week. And the barbecue at Dorothy Street Dispatch Center will be held May 21st. Encourage everybody to go to the ambulance center and meet the paramedics and show their support and enjoy a free lunch or dinner. So we have some games, activities available, as well as our trucks and equipment on display for people to view. We are inviting the public to come out and eat, celebrate, and learn about the skills, training, and dedication required to deliver quality emergency medical services. Please consider joining us. I look forward to your support in celebrating Paramedic Services Week. And I think that's something we can all get behind. And moving on to other business, this is what was amended. So we received information Friday night that the Minister of Energy has directed the IESO to enter into a 5-year extension on the OPG contract, taking it to July 24th, 2029. So we were all waiting with bated breath on that. The information is in the, I think it's quite a number of pages on this, 6 pages. So, but that's the gist of it. We were all waited with bated breath on if this was going to happen. We were pretty confident it was going to happen, but Minister Todd Smith made it official on Friday. So as in my discussions with BioPower, it went into this, he signed this on Friday, and now we start working on the next extension today. Yes, Jason?
Yeah, further to that, I think it's important for council to understand the amount of advocacy that happens in the background over the last handful of years to make this happen. These agreements don't just happen. There's a lot of work being done. I formally want to thank former Mayor Dennis Brown and his tireless work on his file, Mayor Ferguson and staff as well. Every chance that we get, every moment that we had an opportunity to speak to our ministers, we did, because we understand the importance of this contract to our community. And unfortunately, 5 years is literally a blink of an eye, and we're going to start our advocacy work on what happens at the end of this 5 years, and that's why it's so important for that work to be done. So just thanking industry, elected officials, and staff on the work on this file. We're very happy to see this, but the work continues. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just read, there's a couple paragraphs about the Atikokan Generating Station and what Minister Smith had to say. So Atikokan GS is a 205 megawatt biomass electricity generating facility owned by Ontario Power Generation, located 8 kilometers north of Atikokan, Ontario. As part of Ontario's commitment to phasing out coal, OPG successfully converted the facility from coal to biomass in 2014. Atikokan GS is now the largest 100% biomass facility in North America and is the largest consumer of industrial wood pellets in Canada. Atikokan GS 10-year contract with the IESO is set to expire July 23rd, 2024. Without a new contract, the facility is likely to be decommissioned The absence of Atikoka GS as well as the loss of generation capacity would eliminate a source of renewable electricity generation and have a substantial economic impact on the local economy. Specifically, the mills that supply the biomass pellets manufacturing, wood pellet manufacturing, would need to find themselves alternative solutions for wood waste, including the possibility of diverting to landfills or reducing forest operations. The ISO and OPG have negotiated the terms of a new contract. This new five-year contract achieves the right balance between satisfying OPG's requirements to continue operating the facility and providing the ratepayer value and wider economic benefits. So that was part of what Minister Smith had to say. And I spoke with Minister Smith on Friday night. I thanked him for getting this deal done, and he told me he's looking forward to coming to Atikokan with our MPP Kevin Holland to make an announcement in person. That's good news. And next we go to, we're going in camera. Is that correct? And we're not coming back out of in camera. So moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Martin. Resolved that this council proceed in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and/or board employees. In favor? Carried.